zombie! What is going on, guys? It's Farewell34, and oh my god, how crazy was that Season 6, Episode 1 of The Walking Dead? That was mind-blowing. There were so many walkers. Oh my god. I'm not even gonna go into any introductions. Let's just dive straight into this episode. So many freaking walkers, guys. Like, there was literally like the entire population of China just chilling outside of Alexandria. So as you guys can tell, I am a very big Walking Dead fan, you know, representing, wearing my Walking Dead t-shirt. But this episode was phenomenal. So going into this episode, they split up into two different kind of unique styles. There's black and white to show the past, what happened right after where the season left off, and then there's the present day with their whole predicament and how they're trying to deal with that. I thought this was pretty effective, and it kind of showed the different scenarios, and also it kind of pays a little homage to the comic books for people who know that it's actually in black and white printing, which was pretty nifty. So going forward, you know, we start off in the present day, and we see these guys have a really big problem. They're just like in the middle of like this kind of like canyon sort of, and there's just so many walkers. There's like way too many. Like, we definitely have not seen this many in the show. Next, we get to see some of our characters that we haven't seen from the last season. We get to see Abraham, we get to see Glenn and Nick, we get to see that dynamic, how that works out, how they deal with each other. There was actually a really cool scene where we see Abraham, you know, just chilling, kind of dealing with the death of Deanna's husband, and he's just kind of pouring, like, you know, pour the liquor for my fallen homies. Next, we just see them moving forward with their plan. So pretty much in this episode, the whole premise of the episode is there's way too many zombies in the area, and they need to figure out an effective way of getting rid of them. So they figure out a plan. Basically, they're gonna kind of get this horde. They're gonna split up their team, and there's going to be people in cars, people with motorcycles. There's going to be people with things that make a lot of sound to direct the walkers in a direction opposite of Alexandria. Plain and simple. And of course, like The Walking Dead goes, nothing goes as planned. We see that Rick and Daryl have a disagreement in this episode. You know, it was kind of cool to see their dynamic where, you know, Rick is kind of trying to take charge of the whole kind of Alexandria, and Daryl's kind of telling him, you know, maybe we should take more people, when Rick's just kind of like, no more people at all. Do I see more Daryl and Rick conflict in the future? Yes and no. I mean, for the people who read the comic books, because I'm very heavily into the comics, Daryl actually isn't in the comic book, so I can't kind of predict what's going to happen with him and his whole story arc. So he's kind of an anomaly. I predict that, you know, he's going to be kind of the moral compass in a sense, because Rick's kind of going on a kind of off path. Maybe Daryl's going to be there to help him, you know, get back to where he once was. We don't know. We're gonna have to keep watching to find out. So pretty much we see Morgan and Rick kind of catching up. Rick is being pretty blunt to Morgan and kind of just telling him, like, you know, where were you? Where did you learn all these crazy tricks? Because he's pretty much like the 5th unknown Ninja Turtle by now. And of course, it wouldn't be a new season without some new characters. We are introduced heavily to this character. His name is Heath. For those who don't know, Heath is a character in the comic books from Alexandria. He plays a prominent role. You know, he's kind of like the aide, and he assists everyone in the community. He goes on runs with Glenn, as you can see. I really like his character so far. I feel like he's going to play a pretty big role. So far, we see him helping out Nick and Glenn on their runs. We also get to see his cool dreadlocks. He has pretty cool hair. But he's an interesting character overall, from what I know, and I can't wait to see him later in the season. We then go to Rick and Morgan, and they kind of, you know, just see these people just digging up some graves. Pretty much Rick just tells these guys, like, straight up, like, you guys are not burying these guys here. I don't care what you say. You're listening to what I say. And pretty much he's just letting them know that, you know, you shouldn't be burying killers here. That's messed up. You know, these people cause so much grief, and we don't want them in our community no matter what, even if they're dead. So some of the funny parts in this episode was when we saw Morgan, Michonne, and Rick just walking, and then Morgan brings up the episode in season 5 or 4, I forgot which, but he pretty much just says, like, Michonne, you took my protein bar. And she's kind of just like, what protein bar? He's like, I remember which protein bar you took. This is kind of funny because we get to see, like, you know, Morgan doesn't forget his shit. Like, he knows every single, you know, little thing in his life, how sad it may be. But he knows if a Chewy bar is missing from his snack bar. He knows if there's like a drop of water missing. So it was just pretty cool to see that in his character. We then continue with the present day when we see Rick and Morgan kind of, you know, going through what they're gonna do with this giant horde of zombies in this kind of, like, you know, this giant hole. Rick and Morgan are discussing, and this kid pops up. They come out of nowhere and like epically save this kid. Like, he's getting chased by some walkers and he's like falling, you know, the cliche, you know, oh my god, there's zombies, I fall out of nowhere. And pretty much Rick just tackles him, saves him, and they do some like awesome kills, you know. Morgan does like this stick 1-2, and then Rick kind of shoots another one. It was pretty epic. So this kid that Rick and Morgan actually save is Ron, I believe is his name, and that is Jesse's son. I don't know if Rick knows that at the time, but pretty much he kind of lets him know, like, he's trying to be a punk towards Rick, which is stupid because Rick is a top sav. You don't mess with a top sav because you'll be dead. Take notes from your dad. We then go to Glenn, Heath, and Nick for the first time, and they're kind of like on a supply run. It kind of seems like they're going to be the new kind of runners for the team, and we're going to see them going on plenty of missions to do stuff. Gather materials and such. We get to see Glenn taking charge, and you know, just a drastic change from the character from season 1 to 6, where he's gone over this course of how many years it's been now. He's kind of taken charge. It's funny because the character even himself acknowledges it. He kind of tells Heath when he's kind of being skeptical. He's like, I used to be a pizza delivery guy. So that's kind of cool to see. Then cut to the community all together, just deciding, you know, what do we do? There's this problem. We need to find out how to fix it and when to do it. So they pretty much discuss it, and Carter actually comes up and kind of tells Rick, how do we follow you after you kind of just came into our community, messed up everything, killed a pretty nice guy, and then just want to, you know, control everyone. It's a pretty interesting scenario. How this is going to play forward, we already know, because what happens. We then see the plan going into action. We see everyone in their spots. We see Daryl on his motorcycle. We see Abraham and Sasha in the car just driving, and pretty much we see like these herds of walkers walking through, and then like some of them just start hitting the wall like poof, like some massive like headbanging. It was some dope scenes. We then get to see a little more lower tone parts of the episode. We get to see, you know, Morgan and Carol talking, which I did not see. Do you guys think something's gonna happen there? Personally, there might be some sort of connection. I don't know, maybe, who knows. We also see scenes with Maggie and Tara, because of course these are two important females in his life. These are one, his wife, and the next, you know, this person he bonded with and saved his life. So going forward in the episode, we get to see a big change where we kind of see, you know, Eugene just minding his own thing, being awkward, being weird looking, doing his thing, and he overhears these people just talking shit about Rick. They're in the gun room, first of all, which is like the power spot of the whole community, and they're kind of like, we need to take him out before he takes us out. And of course, being, you know, the character Eugene is, he drops the kind of glass of mayonnaise or whatever, and they find him, and Carter is like ready to kill this guy. He has a gun in his head, he's like, he hurt. I was like at the edge of my seat, I'm like, oh my god, Eugene, you're so stupid, what are you doing, no, no, no. And then right when I'm about to think he's about to die, freaking Rick rolls up, he's just like, what's going on here? At that moment, I'm like, yo, this guy's dead. Like, there's no way. Like, once Rick gets in his zone, like, there's no going back. Like, this guy goes full savagery. Like, I thought he was done for. And of course, you know, Rick does this cool, like, you know, trying to ease him into talking, and then just kind of like dismantles him and like has a gun in his head. And he gives a really cool monologue where he's just like, you know, you're not gonna take this community from Rick, from Glenn, from Michonne, from me. It was pretty cool to see that. So the way that this episode was edited, of course, like I said, it was, you know, the past and the present. Past being gray and you know, grayish, and the present being colorful, and what's going on with the horde. We see that they edit it where, you know, right when Rick is about to kill him or he spares his life, it shows them working together. I thought this was pretty effective to show the contrast of how, you know, that went in the past and how it went in the future. It might have got a little repetitive at times and a little confusing, but overall I thought it worked well for the episode. So like I said, here we see Carter actually congratulating Rick, telling him, you know, good job, your plan's actually working and is going through. And of course, you know, it's The Walking Dead. When something goes well or a character talks a little too much, they of course die. So we see Carter, you know, walking about, you know, and then all of a sudden a walker just comes and like, he's just there lying, screaming, and distracting some of the zombies. Midway through this scene, we actually see Morgan and Rick having some real talks. Morgan pretty much tells Rick, you know, I need somewhere to live, and Rick just lets me, like, you know, you can stay at my place, you know, we can make room, even if there isn't room. And we get to see Judith. We haven't seen her in quite a while, you know. Is it just me, or like I kind of noticed like Judith looked like a different actor? I don't know, was I being too observant? Rick tells Morgan, like, I wanted to kill Carter because he deserves to die. Like, those kind of people will not make it, and they will eventually die. Rick, you're a pretty freaking good fortune teller. So back in the present day, of course, Carter's dying, and Rick does some like evil stuff. Not evil, but he's just trying to like keep things on the ball. He's not trying to make anything divert from the plan. When Carter's dying and screaming, distracting the horde, he kind of just stabs him in the head. We can see that Morgan and Michonne were judging him so heavy, because right when he did it, he looked to Morgan, and Morgan was just like, he was not having it, and then Rick's just like, he was pissed off. Towards the end of the episode, we see, you know, a lower tone kind of moment between Jesse and Rick. Last season, you know, Rick tried making a move on Jesse, and then, you know, the whole husband thing, and then he pretty much killed her husband. So now this guy is still trying to make moves. Like, he really wants this girl. So he kind of goes to her, and the only way he kind of knows how to approach a woman through survival kind of teachings, he kind of asks her, you know, like, I'll teach you how to shoot a gun. And she's like, don't worry, Rosita's gonna teach me. I'm gonna teach my kids. I don't need you. She pretty much just kind of gives him the cold shoulder and cuts him off. I mean, this is totally understandable for what he did. And she pretty much tells him to like lay off my son. You're being over the line when you try saving him and giving him advice. And of course, Rick's just trying to be like, you know, trying to defend himself, saying like, I was just telling him the truth. And the final scene in this episode, oh my gosh, they are so screwed. So pretty much Rick says this last line in the scene where he's just kind of like, I know that this sounds insane, but the world is insane. Of course, he's saying this right before they go on with the plans with the whole Walker herd. And then right after, a freaking horn goes off. Like, I don't know why or where, but a horn goes off. And I cleared, like, instantly, I'm like, oh my god, it's the wolves, but it wasn't. Well, we don't know actually, but that's just my guess. And like all the walkers kind of divert to Alexandria. It says Alexandria, like $800,000 for a home, which is very expensive, by the way. I live in Canada, and that's still expensive for a house. But anyway, they're all just walking through, and there's like literally like a good 1,500 zombies going towards Alexandria, and that's where the episode ends off. Guys, this episode was so freaking crazy. A lot happened, a little lower tone parts here and there, but overall it was just phenomenal in terms of seeing how many zombies were there and seeing these new connections with these new people, seeing some of our old casts come back. You know, it was really cool to see. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7.5 out of 10. So guys, let me know what you think about the season 6 episode 1 premiere of The Walking Dead. What did you think? What do you think of seeing Morgan again? How do you think his character was? What do you think is gonna happen in the next episode with all those freaking zombies? Thank you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it if you did, subscribe if you have not already. There will be definitely more Walking Dead videos because I love it. Oh, don't forget guys, if you also were into Funko Pop models, you can check my last video out. I'm doing a giveaway for some New York Comic Con exclusives, and you can just enter that and hopefully win some free stuff. Alright guys, thank you so much. It's Farewell 34. I will see you guys next time. Peace.